And we are back with another episode of the Julius Files. I am your host, Jason Julius, and today we are already off the rails. Everybody just holding their grins and their smiles in, trying to stay silent for the actual intro, but
it's tough sometimes.
Exactly. Sometimes it just pops out. But I mean, like with that, we needed to cut that intro right at the end where he says, let's go, and then cut it where I can roll right in. But so today we are doing an off the rails.
And out there, I guess, for everybody listening.
And off the rails is where myself and my co-hosts pick some random headline pulled out of their whatever they happen to pull out of, and we go with it and we discuss it. But it is about staying current with new topics that happen to be floating out there in the world. Sometimes it get a little political, sometimes about business, sometimes we just I don't know, one of the co-hosts goes out of their way to pull something creative out there. And our demi-galactic goddess of research, Trish, I got a feeling that she might actually have a quite interesting one to pull out for today. But you know what? Let's just go that direction. Why don't we start off? Why don't we start off with Trish? What headline do you got for us today?
So you're willing to just sink the ship?
Yeah, no, let's just jump right in, because I mean, if this is going to be interesting, this has got to be good. And I mean, if we're going to keep the listeners entertained, then it's let's just lead with it and see where it goes.
So 8:00 this morning, I'm scrolling through TikTok and I find a lady who says that she promotes kinks. Her thing is public kink, and she has a client who apparently is a priest at a very homophobic, transphobic church, white supremacist kind of thing. His fantasy is to preach while wearing lingerie under his robes.
And see, so you're telling me that we have like somebody that just has all of those racist, like screwed up. They're already screwed up in the head, but then they were also willing to admit that they also fantasize about being a cross-dresser and standing up in front of their congregation and
with a butt plug.
With
there's more. Let's not forget about that butt plug.
Okay, no, and I mean, and I got to, because I'll go down that rabbit hole. So, like, does everybody else know that he's wearing a butt plug, or is it's for his own personal sensation?
Only for his own personal sensation, I guess. But she controls the remote. So while he's up here giving the
no, that's what you said that they left that part out. So the butt plug is actually attached to a remote that he wants somebody else to be able to control while he's preaching to his congregation
and Bible study. Let's not forget about the children.
I'm sorry, I'm not anybody here. I mean, I'm laughing at the ridiculousness of this. I'm not laughing at I'm a God-loving, God-fearing man. My relationship is with me and my maker, and I don't. But does have to be a line drawn. Generally,
you don't have a remote controlled butt plug when you're
in church.
No, I don't have a remote controlled butt plug.
But do you want one?
Period.
Because we'll get you one.
Quick. There's a little shop down here.
I mean, the thing is I'm like, I just don't even I feel like any which way I respond to that,
we're gonna get you.
No, that's what I said. Yeah, no, it's not. It is. It's a lose any which way I go.
Color preference?
You know what? I'm not.
5-speed. What are you looking for?
And I mean, I'm glad that Matt's admitting I'm stuck any which way I go on this. But the two girls are like, okay, they want to start getting into some detail about this.
It can be shiny.
But this is no different than when when we had Bacon in here, and she was talking about having to write copy for a Christian sex toy organization. And again, I mean, I'm like big believer that like whatever is consensual behind the closed doors is like, it ain't none of my business. I don't judge. It ain't none of your business. Right. It's like, as long as it's consensual amongst adults, well, then, mind your business. I
feel like that's a good idea.
No, but the thing is
that was a good sidestep.
But that's what I said, because I mean, we're going to a whole different level when we're talking about one, you're involving God and church and a congregation now.
In the Bible said, don't forget the children.
What I said. You're not just walking a line, you're straight freaking crossing the line, which I mean,
nobody knows though. So are you?
If you're cross-dressed, standing in front of your congregation, everybody knows.
Under the row. So he has full like lingerie.
Okay.
Under his robe.
So it is a nobody knows.
Right. Like it's.
But the thing
like
is, and again, I still say that's crossing a line because you are heavily influencing a congregation that is there to like worship God in the house of God. No, I'm just saying, I think it's wrong of him because, again, it's not consensual. Like if that flock knew what he was up to, he wouldn't be preaching to them anyway. Yeah. They would not accept his leadership. And it damn sure is not consensual, I guess is what I'm getting at. That's my... I understand. Okay, everybody's got their kinks. Cool. And again, no judgment. You do you. There's a whole lot of stuff out there.
Wouldn't that be against what the Bible stands for, though?
You know what? But that would be, again, we get into the consensual. No. Yes. No. You're right. I'm not disagreeing. Yeah. But again, I get into the consensual. Like that they don't know that they're being influenced by an individual that is like, way off the rails.
But what if this is like what he doesn't know won't hurt him kind of thing? Like, how do you feel about
that? No. Again, I'm really big about honesty, brutal if necessary, so that everything is consensual. Like if you're going to influence somebody, tell them I'm going to influence you. Don't lie. Don't disguise. Don't hide. Don't run from.
He is influencing them.
No. That's what I said, and that's what I'm like. But not in a consensual, upfront manner. I think that's.
He could still be given solid life advice.
Maybe
you don't know that.
Maybe this is just his panty.
No, you don't know that. But I can honestly say, from a conservative standpoint, and I mean, I'm not trying to speak for conservatives. Perspective. Yes, no. Because
we'll be back to this.
Because I've seen liberals. I mean, again, no judgment. Anybody, everybody, to each their own. But looking at it from a liberal perspective or from a conservative perspective, like God-loving, God-fearing people going to hear the word of God. They're taking it from a leader that is supposed to be at least walking a certain path in life to say, I belong up here. I should be able to. And if they knew that he was cross-dressing underneath his robe with the butt plug that is remote controlled to his girlfriend, like both of them are
not
playing.
His girlfriend.
No.
That's his client. That's her client. It's not his girlfriend. Like that would basically be like.
That's just not. It's just not right. I'm saying it's not right because
you're judging.
No, they're joking. They're playing a joke on the congregation by doing that in that manner, and I don't think that's right.
If nobody knows.
It's still not consensual.
Does it change if it's like the CEO of some company giving a speech instead of a pastor giving?
Or
it does. Honestly, it does. In my opinion, it does because we're talking about the house of God.
What about dinner though? And you and your significant other are out at dinner. We'll say we're down here at the Mexican joint, and next thing you know, you take this girl and she's got a vibrator or whatever in her vagina, and you're over here like, like, is that not?
It's consensual.
But is it consensual with the rest of the restaurant while she's over here just splashing on the floor while you're sitting there
again? No, we're not. But no. But the thing is, But that right there is where we get into public kink. Okay, the house of God.
We've been talking about this whole time.
The house of God is not public kink.
So because it's in a church is why you have.
They're really. I'm sorry. That is kind of a major line.
But if God is your homeboy, like Jesus is my homeboy.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Stands me in my.
No, and I get it. That's because.
That's the thing, though. That's public kink. So are you going to say, okay, yeah, it's fine that you take your girlfriend out to a restaurant and you do this, but it's not okay if you do it at, like, say, a drive-in or the family dinner?
No. I'm saying it's not okay if you're trying to influence another group of people under preconceived notions.
Only if it comes to religion, but not business.
Yeah, I think that it's crossing a line.
Because God's involved.
Yeah, because God's involved. I mean, like.
Yeah.
So. Does it matter which God's involved or just
no? It doesn't because I'm like everybody again. Higher power and the word God itself is up for debate because he says you will know my name. I mean, his name is not God,
right?
Like if you call him God, he's going to be like, you don't know my name. But the point being, that's like okay, Jesus roamed the earth in the Middle East. Well. At the same time, there were people in Asia that were worshiping their own gods. So I don't want to go deep into that, but I'm like, okay.
So if it comes to religion, that's where you draw the line for public kink.
I honestly, in my head, like,
even though it's not hurting anybody else.
Right.
but I don't know that it is hurting anybody else, because if you're like engaging in an intersexual kink when you're supposed to be up on a podium preaching to a flock of people, that like, I don't,
Well, I willing to bet he's not preaching about remote controlled butt plugs in
that's
front
a
of a
fact.
congregation.
No, it was about intolerance.
about intolerance. He wanted
He
to
was
preach
preaching, about intolerance during the act.
as she ratchets up the butt plug, and he's like, "Whoa!"
Got the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit is in me.
That's how those
like
people
it's
do it.
and again, I like I said, but false pretenses, preconceived notions, consensual. Like there's many lines crossed there. I'm just being honest. I don't.
False pretenses.
Right.
Like he's still.
He's still doing his job.
He's
He's
still
just
speaking.
Generally
the word.
speaking, when you show up to church, you're showing up to church to hear somebody that
And
is
you
trying to walk and live a life that is as closely aligned with God as possible. And I'm fairly certain nowhere in the Bible was it cool to cross-dress
But it
and walk
also
around.
wasn't uncool, because I definitely don't remember
Yeah.
butt plugs or cross-dressing in
No,
there.
Cleopatra, the whole Cleopatra thing, she made one of the first vibrators. It was made out of bumblebees in a jar.
That's
and that's
right.
what she would use.
Okay, but Cleopatra was not.
But I'm just saying, so they didn't really have electricity. So God
she wasn't holy. She wasn't somebody trying to represent herself as a holy individual. I mean,
But-
and that's the thing, the representation, trying to represent as yourself as a holy individual,
Right.
while practicing that, and that's not public kink. That's hidden. Like it's not.
But he's out in public. So would it be different if, let's say, it was an outside event and they're all outside gathered?
How many calls do I ignore from one of our locations before I go and answer?
You should probably,
If it's a repeated, I suppose you might as well answer it. I mean,
Is it my location?
wow.
Nice.
Okay.
It's Vickers.
Oh.
dun dun dun.
30 minutes till showtime. It's already showtime.
Oh my Lord.
I'm excusing myself.
Okay.
I hope you have a good time. Be safe out there.
Why-
Streets are rough.
Like they're giving him what he wants, and I think that is just so immature. And
Given whom, what do you want? What are you talking about?
the individual that's leaving today, like
Well, I just want to say that now that we're alone, we can get some details on this butt plug.
Right.
That-
So anyways,
So-
about this butt plug that you're looking for.
What's the
no, no. That's not fair. No, I didn't. At no point in this conversation or any previous conversation did I refer to looking for a butt plug. They are
like
placing where they are trying to set me up. This is not
I
how
know a
this
lady.
went.
But
This is
if
not-
you
I-
cut this right,
Yeah.
it'll look like you're asking for a butt
No,
plug. and
I
then
was
we're gonna
not.
hook
I
you
wasn't.
Up.
We
No.
know later we're
Again,
about
I mean,
editors, where
I'm
you
like,
at?
to each his own, and what two people decide, or what anybody that decides they're going to do consensually behind closed doors. Like, you do you. I'm not mad about it. I'm like, I am an open individual
Yeah.
and accepting, and that's wow. Man, this really went off the rails, and this one,
I'm back.
leave it to Trish.
haven't
We're
been
gonna
on
get
off
this
the
one
rails.
subject that is like, okay.
Just for the record, your boss does not want a butt plug.
Oh.
And he
I
does.
found a random crystal.
Oh, that's mine. Thank you.
Wow.
Plug Terradon Tea Shop with 2 P's on Instagram. Come get your crystals.
No, because I mean, I'm trying to be like real on this, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I've never been with a woman that has like been really wanting to like explore butt
Would you be
plugs, so I
willing
don't-
to explore anal play?
Yeah, it's not. Look, behind closed doors in a
Right.
consensual setting. You do go back to God.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says that if a man wants it, that the woman is supposed to accommodate, and if a woman wants it, the man is supposed to accommodate. And I'm like, then happy wife, happy life, and you shouldn't let things get boring.
No,
You
there's
should
limitations.
not. You shouldn't let the spark go
Yeah.
out. So you should always be open-minded and willing to try new things. But those new things, I mean, is there going to be limits? Well, it just comes down to the individuals and how much inhibition or ambition is involved. And again, to each his own, don't judge. But I'm just sitting there going, I'm not going to sit here and never say never, because you never know who you're going to meet and what their kinks might be and what you're willing to explore and try due to to pursuing the interests of the somebody else that is important to you. So I'm like, I'm not going to take anything necessarily off the table, because if I find myself in a relationship that I'm like, okay, I want to invest in the relationship. I want to make sure that she is happy and feeling fulfilled, because I know the life of being frustrated and unfulfilled. And I'm like, no, that's not good. That's not healthy. So open mind. I'm an open-minded individual, and change is necessary, but I am dancing around this because I'm like, ain't nobody just gonna like nail me down on this. This is like, because the world of kink is like you. I mean, not only do you start with vanilla, and then vanilla's not even on the spectrum, and then you got light this, and then heavy this, and then all the things that are in the middle. And I mean, again, you do you. That's I'm not going to judge nobody else, but you're not going to corner me into this I'm not taking a stand on this on my podcast. It's not happening. I mean, I don't judge though. Anybody else, you do you. And you should be open-minded, and your partner or partners or you should be willing to at least mentally
explore.
explore.
Listener, he'll take dark red.
Oh my God,
as the color.
No, that's like shit. That ain't right, dude. That is like. That's not right. I mean, okay. We're moving on. Okay, that's what we.
Fan mail is coming.
No. We are moving on. But interesting. I guess, or quote unquote. I mean, TikTok headline. But I mean, because the thing is I'm like, we could talk about this for a hot minute. Just, I'm curious as to all of the different types of public, quote unquote, public kink that I never really, I don't know. I mean, people's brains, the mind is a fascinating place, and certain things do certain things for certain people. So I'm kind of curious, I mean, as to what list of quote unquote public kinks are out there, but you kind of, I mean, like, that's pretty, like, what you brought up, that's a pretty deep public kink. I mean that jumped way over sex in public and just went straight towards that's a pretty deep rabbit hole. That's
down we go.
Quite literally. Oh.
Wow. Okay, Mr. Bradshaw, Master Blaster,
coming to me.
We'll save Tori for last.
Hold on, let me pull up this specific headline here.
His greatness is failing, ladies and gentlemen. Generally, he's prompt and he's ready to go, and he knows what he's doing. And
this comes from the NPR here. That's National Public Radio.
That's that's
January 6th panel says Trump fleeced his base, and 5 other takeaways from the second day of hearings. Specifically, I want to get down to good old Bill Barr, because you guys love that guy. He was marching the streets. Republicans were like, he's a hero.
I mean, Bill Barr, to my knowledge, I mean, everything I saw about him, he was very much he really tried to walk that line of not favoritism and trying to restore a certain something that had been in that job by Comey.
Sure. It's talking about all the craziness about the election wasn't real. I'm not going to read you the whole article, but the little bit was, this is a quote: if he really believes this stuff, that he won the election, which there's no proof that he did, he's just become that detached from reality. And this is the person that all these people were going to battle for. And his whole family is now on the record saying that they knew he lost the election. And we're trying to get him to stop on January 6th, when they were rioting in the Capitol.
Okay. I mean,
so I just want to get your opinion on that.
My opinion?
Well, let's
again,
discuss it.
I don't dig deep enough into it. My opinion, 80 million did not vote for, and I could say a whole lot of things, but I'm not going to disrespect the position, because there are things that I think that we should hold sacred in this country, and our right to vote is supposed to be the most sacred thing. And we have a president that is supposed to lead this country. And again, I get into elected politicians. They were elected to go represent the people, and none of them do. including the individual that happens to be holding the position right now. But I'm not going to sit here and go on air and be overly disrespectful and provide all of the colorful words that I think about him, because I do think that that there is a whole lot of like incoherentness going on in that position right now, and you will never get me to believe that 80 million people voted for him, because
81,268,900.
Yeah, I'm sitting there going, so he pulled more votes than Obama in both elections. Trump pulled more votes than Obama and pulled more votes than the previous, and at the same time, there was a whole lot going on with the unsolicited ballots, uncleaned up voter rolls. I'm sorry, from an outside looking in and very much a realist in a center position, I see that our politicians and the people that were involved in all of that did nothing to instill any real confidence in the actual election results. They went out of their way to block any type of investigation, and then there was a whole lot of BS that came up in the entire thing. And we've talked about this. I do not believe in unsolicited ballots being mailed out. If it is a solicited ballot as an absentee voter, I'm all for it. You want to shut this country down for a day so that everybody can go vote with a ID, because you got to have an ID to drive. You got to have an ID to buy alcohol. You have to have an ID for many things. What's that?
Those are privileges.
It doesn't matter. The most sacred thing in this country is one man, one vote, and you should have to have an ID to prove your frickin' identity. And the point is, none of that occurred. And then they wonder why the faith in the system.
Right here.
And I'm going to be honest, then we get to they need to take the election to the blockchain, because everything that I've read about it, there's no messing with it. And you want to restore faith in the electoral process? Then stop trying to hide shit, because that's exactly what happened. They went out of their way to lawyer it and mutilate it to death and stop any type of investigation. And there was all kinds of public footage that went out there showing all kinds of going on. And both sides should have been looking for transparency to secure the faith in the actual system, because I don't have any faith in the system. And I am not a far left or a far right. I am in the middle, and I am a realist, and I'm sitting here saying I have no faith in the system because of the bullshit that I saw in the 2020 election. So, yeah.
Good. Skip the next election, too.
Yeah, that's... Or you know what? Or you could actually get all them dumb shits up there to band together and say, let's fix this, because our people having faith and trust in the actual election results is more important than anything else in this republic/democracy.
Yeah, we're never doing that.
Exactly. And then you wonder why our government has a 10% trust rate. And that's some shit. I mean, and I just, in this country, I'm like, it's unacceptable. It's disgusting. And it's political jockeying all the way to the gerrymandering. Like, they're both sides. The stuff that they are allowed to do, it just clearly says, you're electing me, I'm lying to you, I'm blowing smoke up your ass, I'm not going to represent you. All of you are peons. We set up here on our perch and we know better than, and all they keep doing is sticking it to the common individual. And the gas prices are a clear sign of it. Sorry. Cigarette prices are a clear frickin' sign of it. Yeah, it's bad for you. We've already established that. So you, as a government, taking it as your right just to continue to ratchet up tax on it, it's bullshit. Same way with the drug issues. You cannot put, if you want to turn a drug addict into a criminal, then call them a criminal for being a drug addict and house them with criminals and see what happens when they actually come out. They're going to come out rehabilitated, and it ain't going to be what you want. And there is a lot of bullshit that is, I mean, it's still a great country, and I'm very grateful for the life that I have, but there's a lot of bullshit that's easy to fix and they won't fix it because they need the storyline in order to push their political agenda, and it's bullshit. Okay, moving on. Miss Tori,
Fine.
What kind of what kind of headline do you have for us today?
He dismissed mine just like Trump did.
Oh my God, here we go.
I thought we were doing off the rails, not headlines.
Yeah, no. Off the rails is headlines.
Whatever topic you have.
Ooh, yeah. No, because Q and JP is questions for me because you want my perspective. Off the rails is
Tori's new
headlines.
here. Yeah, Tori's new here.
And that's
Tori
fine.
does
And
not
I
have
should
an
get,
article.
Tori's pretty fast learner. She'll get with the program. But
Yeah. Well, I didn't get a headline, but
Okay.
I do have a question.
oh, you got,
Well, it's
all right.
okay.
You know what? I mean, we'll
It's
change
like-
this up, but that's
Yeah,
fine.
it's like an off the rails question though. So
Oh,
I just
okay.
want to know, like, where you would like to travel to and move and you got a bucket list.
Man, I
I
mean,
feel like you could just go a lot of ways with that.
there's a
you know?
headline. I'm gonna be honest, and again, this is that part of that change and growth. Like I long said that there's a language barrier and there's a law barrier, and I'm not trying to go to jail for breaking a law I didn't know about in another country.
fair.
And then you got weird shit where Mexico. You can be kidnapped and held for ransom, and I mean, there's all that. But
Hey, we stopped with the bad life
you see what I'm-
decisions. Don't look at me like
that's
that.
exactly.
Don't look at me like that.
But my point is that then I read Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Work Week, and I think
Sounds
that they
nice.
call
Can
them,
we get one of those?
No, I think they call them vagabonds. I mean, the point being,
Call it whatever you want. I get paid for the whole week.
no, but that's not
4
the point.
hours?
That's not the point.
Can we move with you?
That is not the point. The point is that they say that the new rich is that you don't own shit, that you just go rent it and you can travel the world. But there is a fair amount of research. But the point is, with technology, the language barrier is not the same. Generally, I mean, when it comes to laws, I break rules, but I don't break too many rules because I ain't trying to go to jail even in my own country. I went from this country is so big I could spend my life exploring this country. Yeah, cool, understood. But I've seen some very cool things on TV and pictures on the internet where I'm like, no, I mean, I would love to see certain places in Mexico, certain places in Brazil. Would love to go to Egypt to view the pyramids. I would love to float in the Dead Sea, but part of that is my psoriasis, and a world-renowned psoriasis clinic is at the base of the Dead Sea. A friend of mine, her husband's in the military, is in the Air Force, and they just spent the last year in Italy, and I've seen the pictures that she's posted, and I'm in awe of what she's able to stand and witness, and I'm so. I'm leaving it all open because there was a time in my life where I was very much my introversion held me back, where I'm I don't ever see myself leaving the country. Well, and then while it really wasn't, but I mean, in all technicality, in December, I did leave. For all intents and purposes, I did leave the country. I mean, it was a couple mile boat ride that was crossing actual
To
lines.
a private island.
Yes.
With the rich
love how he-
doctors.
No,
I
that's-
like how he downplays it. He's like,
Right.
it was just a little.
Thank you for
boat
saying
ride.
that they were doctors, because they were a group of chiropractors, and in my eyes, that they're more healers and doctors than most other doctors. And I'm saying most because I'm not trying
I
to.
have to say most.
Yeah, because I'm not discrediting. Like I said, I'm all about, if I break a bone or I'm in a major car accident, give me Western medicine. I'll take a doctor, put my Humpty Dumpty, and put my ass back together. But when it comes to mental and physical health, I'm we are all vibrations, and there is definitely something towards Eastern medicine. And a lot of what Tim Ferriss did was exploring that Eastern medicine. And I'm I'm open to it, but the other side of it is I just want warmer climate, because I just
Facts.
have no
Is
appreciation.
94 degrees outside isn't enough for you?
No, that's totally fine for me.
No, and
but
see, I want colder.
no, and I get it, but I just don't want anything under 30. I detest anything under 40. I'm barely tolerating. And anything between 60 and 100, I'm having a certain amount of appreciation, because I love spring and I love fall. I live for the summer. That's so anything's possible. You just never know. Okay, so we're going to get to my headline, and I just funny to think about this in general, but this just also comes to the inflation and the inflated stuff. And sooner or later, I'm like, and I think we had this conversation, Elon Musk could soon become the world's first trillionaire. Now, that blows my mind that one single individual could literally become a trillionaire. But then and we joke about this, like, is the next one after trillion gazillion? What is after trillion? Because I mean, like, when we were kids, it was $1 million and
$1 million billion.
Yeah, now and then billion, and now we're like, yeah, fuck billion, man. We're on to trillions. What is after trillions? Because it just blows my mind that we're actually achieving these numbers, but we're not achieving. It's that they're devaluing our faith-based currency to the point that everything is being inflated
through the roof,
and these numbers are just not realistic.
And they have all this money and they haven't built any pyramids.
That's what I'm saying is that, I mean,
I get that type of money, I'm building a pyramid. That's all I know.
So
quadrillion.
Quadrillion is after trillion.
Quadrillion, then quintillion, sextillion, septillion, octillion, nontillion, and decillion.
That's right.
Wow.
So basically, after a trillion, there comes a number known as quadrillion, and then we have other.
So the age of sextillion is where things get freaky.
I don't know. Let's try it.
No, I mean,
I don't think we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
No, we won't get there in our lifetime. But the way they keep devaluing our faith-based currencies, and I keep saying that because you know what? I don't own any crypto, but I understand it. And how do I understand it? Because it's no different than a dollar bill. It's all based on faith. It's just it houses and resides on the internet, and because the internet is becoming very much many people, that's where they spend their life. That is their world. Well, it's not, at this point, it's not real world or virtual world. It's like you have the internet world and you have NFTs that reside in the internet world. You have cryptocurrency that reside. You have personalities. Sooner or later, you're going to have robots that will be their world. And then you have our world. And then you have all of our quote unquote dollar and paper money in every other country and stamped out coins in every other country. And none of it is worth the paper printed on, but there's faith. And then the government says, hey, this is worth. And then once they get you believing that it's worth, then they're like, hey, we got the power to print more. Let's go make more bullshit promises that we can back up by this faith-based currency. And why are they pissed off about crypto? Because they don't have control of it. And but I understand it, and I understand the crypto markets in general, and I'm not... But my point being, Elon Musk becoming the world's first trillionaire. Well, you know what? That dude is way smarter than me, and I'm sure he does have some money invested in crypto, and he's probably got it diversified in every place that could turn $1 million to $1 billion. And you do that a couple times, and you create a couple more businesses. I mean, come on. This dude literally helped build PayPal. Yeah. And then took that money and parlayed it into 3 more frickin' public companies. I mean, like... you got to give the dude respect. I mean, that's just...
He's an alien.
He's definitely an alien. It's not a robot or a lizard or something. There's something not right with that man.
Well, I mean, I could say the same thing.
Still, if he needs a fat person to go to space...
Oh, my God.
I'm here.
Oh, my Lord.
I'll drive there myself.
No, but the thing is this is where... We've talked about this. This is where it gets into the politics is overriding actual policy because... this administration literally excluded him and praised GM and Ford over the electric vehicle revolution. And I'm like, this dude is on the forefront of the electric vehicle revolution.
Why this is so hard for you to understand?
No, it's not about hard for me to understand. I get the politics of it, but that does not mean it's the truth. It's the same bullshit propaganda that they are allowing. That's the whole point of the fake news, because government has encouraged the fake news. They wrote it into law that you could literally come out with propaganda to make it look like news. And when you watch this man, thanks, Obama. Obama was the one that signed into law the ability for news organizations to put out,
fact-checked us,
to put out propaganda that looks somewhere like news. It was Obama that did it, whether you want to realize it or not. Because don't get me wrong, I can crack on some bullshit that all of these presidents did or lie about.
Corrupt. That's what about any of us.
No,
that's. Well, we only have 8 minutes left. So.
Yeah, no, and we do.
I'm pretty sure it was Little Bush, not Daddy Bush.
But you're not correct. But okay, that's.
It says here that the act was first introduced by Congressman Carl E. Mund in January 1945 in the 79th Congress. It was subsequently passed by the 80th Congress and signed into law by President Harry Truman in 1948.
I don't know what law you're found about, but that's
propaganda law.
No, because Obama signed in a law, and inside of the law itself was snuck in there where they were.
2012.
I don't know. I
would be Obama.
Yes. Okay, because it says here that he did not. It says he did not sign a law allowing propaganda in the U.S. And then it says here he signed a law allowing government propaganda in the U.S., making it perfectly legal for the media to purposely lie to the American people.
That's what I'm saying.
So then it says here that was false. In 2013, Obama signed legislation that changed the U.S. Information Educational Exchange Act of 1948, known as the Smith-Mund Act. The amendment made it possible for some materials created by the U.S. Agency for Global Media, the nation's foreign broadcasting agency, to be disseminated in the U.S. The fact is, a post circulated on Facebook with a photo of Obama falsely states he repealed a ban on government propaganda in the U.S. when he signed the National Defense Authorization Act in 2013.
But he did allow for propaganda to be used in the U.S.
It says here it did not repeal the act, but rather lifted some restrictions on the domestic dissemination of government-funded media.
Which is government propaganda getting distributed to its own citizens.
And when it all comes down to it, I'm like, again, as people's attention spans get shorter and shorter and shorter, and news cycles have to, they got to produce news, something to talk about all 24 hours. Well, inevitably it goes from, okay, they had real news that they could talk about for an hour or two a day because it was real news. Now that you got to have 24-hour news, you got to talk some bullshit and lie to people. And then, oh, by the way, stoke everybody's fears through lies to move a herd of people. And then I'll go into on that end of it, like, it's a lot easier to be a follower because you really don't have to think. You just have to listen to some bullshit. Being a leader is hard. Being a great leader is even harder because it does require some principles, some values, some high character, and that seems to be lacking in a lot of our leadership that is generally directly into politics, but not in entrepreneurship. I think that there are a bad few that are really big that they end up making a bad name for entrepreneurship, making a bad name for capitalism, making a bad name for profit, and by and large, the 99.9% of us that are just willing to get out there and risk for the reward in entrepreneurship are good, decent people, and we all get a black eye over those few. But the point is, those few exist in any and every society, and it wouldn't matter if it was attached to business and entrepreneurship. Shitty person's going to do shitty things. Ain't no different way. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. You take away a gun, that same person going to kill you with a knife, with a fork, with a what? Because they're a shitty person.
With a hammer.
Yeah, they're going to do shitty things, and it's not going to matter. But
this GoPro.
Okay.
Hey, before you sign off,
Yep.
Oh.
What?
Trish's 1 year today.
That's right. That's my girl. That's my girl. Happy 1 year.
And don't get me wrong, because this woman knows I love her to death. But this would be like, I think this would signify like 8 years that we've known each other. And this chick was a sales or a service rep for one of my vendors for 7 years, and I loved her so much that the day that she walked, within 24 hours, she knew she was coming on board with me. I was like,
and who did that?
Yeah, no.
Who got that done?
Blaster.
Matt,
That's right.
Matt happened to.
So you can send me up
Matt was the first person in making his call to find out that she was no longer there, and it took just a couple text messages before Trish knew that she did not have long to wait, that she had a home waiting on her. And it was only because of your wonderful personality, your great communication skills, your high competence in taking care of us and our account, that I knew that you were a good person and a great addition to the team. And I'm, yes, happy to see you get your 1 year, but let's just go after many, many more.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
I'm home.
All right. We are wrapping this up. If you got any enjoyment, if we made you laugh at all, please share this show, because I'm a guy and I'm trying to build some shit.
Tell us about your public kinks.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
right.
hey, if
We
you want to
wanna know all
comment in
the
that
dirty.
manner, I'll take it. Whatever rabbit hole we happen to go down, you know what? That's the beauty of free speech. And so rate the show, share the show. Thank you, and until next time, you guys have a good night.